It's the Two Gems Podcast.
What episode is this? What even are we now?
I don't know. I don't keep track.
Should we tell people our dirty little secret?
What's our dirty little secret?
That we recorded this morning.
Well, you said that on the last episode. You're like, and we're going to record another one right now.
This is episode 34, people. Here we are.
So since it's fresh in our minds, the last episode, I did think of something when I was upstairs changing outfits, as we were talking about the Jonah Hill thing and like past relationships, that my ex has actually said to me, he messaged me during the fires and said, like, I heard that was close by you. Are you okay? La, la, la. Is your family okay? Hope you're doing well. And then I actually told him he should come on the podcast, and he was like, I would love that. But he said that he doesn't listen to the podcast because a couple people have said to him, is that you on the podcast that she's talking about? Whatever.
Oh, he listens for sure. What up, Del? He's definitely listening.
That's not what I was going to say. What I was going to say was I was thinking about people and how people can change, and like thinking about our relationship and what had happened and like what went on and like the toxicity around it and stuff. And that I hope that in his new relationship with his children and his fiance, that he's not like that. And so it kind of reminded me of the Jonah Hill thing and versus what he said to his ex or whatever. And now he's married, or I don't know if they're married, but now he just has a baby and like, you know, and like, I guess it raises the question of, do you think people can change and can we be forgiving? Because for me, it's like I think back on the things that we went through, again, like my ex and I, and like it was pretty intense. Like there was some crazy stories. Like I'm actually just gonna say one, okay? And I'll never forget it. So him and I broke up lots, like on and off. Like it was like, oh, you know, because he was doing things that he shouldn't have been doing, he was always assuming that I was doing the same. Yeah. I was not.
That's a thing.
So he broke up with me one night because I went to a bar with my brother and my best friend, and I didn't answer his FaceTime on like the first ring. So instead I spent the entire time locked in a bathroom downstairs, because it was like a one bathroom stall sort of thing, FaceTiming him while he just like reamed me out. That was it. And then he broke up with me and brought all my
fantastic.
Right. So my mentality was, I need to prove to him that I love him. Like I need to go and show him. So I went down to the condo where he lived, and I was sort of living, not really though, because I still lived at my parents' house. And as I texted him and I said, I'm here, my brother dropped me off. I had at that point, like Uber didn't exist or anything, right? So I didn't have any money, like, cause I didn't expect to be not invited into the place where I was like living part-time. And, I texted him, I said, I'm here. And he's like, what? And I went up the elevator and he went down the other elevator, like to come and get me. Cause obviously he didn't want me in there because somebody else was in there. And
You're divulging quite a bit on this story here today.
Well, that's okay. It's okay. I just want to say, like, anyway, cause I think on this now, and like, it seems like a lifetime ago, like an actual lifetime ago. Like it almost feels like it didn't even happen. And I'm like, oh, but it happened, you know? And it wasn't that long ago. It would have been like 10, 11 years. And I went up, and he was coming down, and he came upstairs, and I was banging on the door. And at the time, there was a dog there, and banging, bang, banging. And I heard somebody go, shh, and the lights be turned off. I heard somebody go, shh, okay. So in my mind, I'm like, there's somebody in there, and I know exactly who's in there. And he comes upstairs, and I'm like, there's somebody in there. And I'm going wild, okay? And this is not me. Like, I'm not.
Like, what do you mean you're going wild?
Like, I'm banging on that door. I'm screaming, get out, like, da-da-da-da. Oh, yeah. And so it sounds ridiculous.
I can't even picture you like that.
Right. And he made me so. Is there a fly around here?
There's a fly in here.
Oh, God.
That's going to drive me insane.
And
there's a fly.
He turned me into.
It's like that Breaking Bad.
Let me finish my story.
Okay, keep going.
He turned me into somebody that I wasn't, and I remember I was banging, and then he took my legs and dragged me out the hallway. Like I was like down on the ground. And he, like, because I was doing something like, look, I might have been like looking under to be like, the light's not on anymore. Like it was on or something, like the little crack. And he dragged me by my feet down into the elevator and then brought me downstairs.
What do you mean? Like you were like on the ground, like
Yeah.
a corpse?
Yeah.
What?
I was crying. He brought me downstairs And then he shooed me off into a taxi, and I went home and literally shit my pants because of my IBS and like my anxiety. I remember sitting downstairs in downtown, that's where he lived, on like the concrete, because I was kicked out of the whole building, and being like, I'm gonna actually shit my pants right now. Like, do you think that the metro's open?
Oh my
Is the
God.
metro open for me to go and poop there? And then I made it home.
So did you poop?
Yeah, as soon as I got home, I held it in. But this story, this is just one example of our relationship and some of the crazy stuff that happened. And then he texted me after the fires, and we've been in contact a couple times here and there.
Couple times.
And I would like to believe that I would really like to believe, and maybe I'm naive, I don't know, but I'd really like to believe that people can change. And I also think that sometimes people get with people that just should not. And like what happened was obviously not okay. I'm not giving excuses or saying like that was acceptable behavior. I'm just saying that, where was I going with this, Matt? There was a reason for it, and I was circling into Jonah Hill, weirdly
tying
enough.
into the Jonah Hill thing, and like, do you have?
Are people given second chances?
Yes,
I
second,
guess,
third, fourth, fifth
is what
chance,
I'm
like,
saying.
yeah.
Because something like that is bananas, and like perhaps in his life where he lives now, if somebody heard that, they'd be like, "What?" Or if I decided, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do some stuff here on Instagram, and I start blabbering about what had happened, which I guess I technically just did. But I mean, I've never revealed names, so it's fine. And then I'm like, guys, scrap this. No, but I guess what I'm wondering is, are you given those? Is it okay to give those chances? When do you hold people accountable? Like, at what point do you write somebody off?
Are you asking me this? Or is this rhetorical?
Yeah, kind
or
of, because
what?
I was thinking about upstairs, and I'm thinking like this Jonah Hill thing, and like how people might be so quick to say like, "Fuck this guy, he's canceled," blah blah blah, and it's like, but can we not hear like the other side, and can we not, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know if
good people always hear people out.
Yeah.
Over and over again. I mean, it's what it is.
And I think
unless you like kill somebody, then in my opinion, you don't get a second chance. I think
that, and again, I don't know if it's me being naive, but I think forgiveness is so important. And I think that because, this is actually another question I want to ask, but I think that because I've forgiven him for whatever he's done in the past, and let's say he's forgiven me for whatever I did, not sure what, but let's just say that we're both happy people now and in good places. And I think if you hold on to that resentment, it can be really hard to let go. So for example, this girl showing these screenshots a year later, like, what's the motive? Are you having a difficult time letting go? Like, are you just trying to cancel him?
She said that it was a part of her healing process. That it was harder to not share them than to share them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But why, and again, just posing the question, why heal and say that to the entire world versus just having a conversation with him?
I don't know. Again, we're making assumptions,
Right.
but I would assume that what it is maybe some people were like, "You're crazy," like you had, and I'm just assuming, but like you had Jonah Hill. I mean, you were
Right.
set for life. You
Right.
had a guy that seems fun, and
I
she was
see.
probably taking all his heat and keeping it
And she's like,
internally.
"No,
Like, no,
actually."
this guy like
Right.
treated me a certain way that I
Right.
wasn't comfortable with.
Yeah.
Here's how he was treating me.
I see.
I don't know. This is the only logical way I could make any rationale for why you would ever share that kind of stuff.
A
which I
year
don't-
later.
yeah.
Right. That fly is bad.
So there's an episode of Breaking Bad called The Fly, and okay, don't move.
Oh my God.
Sheridan,
You're going to,
Sheridan, lean forward.
where is it?
Forward. Ah, I got him.
Oh, it's
gone.
on me.
He's gone.
It's on my shirt. It's still alive. It's flying again.
No, he's not.
No, it is. It is. He literally just rose from the dead.
He got a second chance.
There you go. We're not mad at you now.
Next thing, he's an
Yeah.
amazing fly.
Yeah. Just hanging out on the table. I'm trying to think of how
I totally hear you on
I'm
this.
trying to see how that relates, but I can even say,
How
like,
does it not relate? Of course it does.
you're right, and I can even talk about like you and your ex relationship and all the shitty things that happened there, and you've certainly forgiven and hold no resentment, and I think that makes you a happier person.
I said this to Suzanne and Caleb the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember why I said it to them, but they were over here, and I was saying like if you ever hurt me, like in a way very much like that, if you ever cheated on me or hurt me like that in that regard, it would crush me. Obviously, I mean, obviously, but
I hope.
But at the same time, I'm very confident in who I am as a person, and I really feel like if you're not the one lucky enough to have me, someone else is. And you should feel that way too. I'm very lucky to have you in my life. And I think you're very lucky to have me. We're lucky to have each other. It's awesome. It's amazing. Luck might not be the best word. I'm just kind of using that word. But I mean, it's amazing that we have each other because we build each other up and we've done all this together.
I think that is an extremely important thing to remember. And that brings your self-worth into play. And you're totally right. If somebody is, you should feel special enough that if somebody were to do that to you, that they are not worthy.
Yeah, you're not worthy of my awesomeness. Like,
right.
So all that to say, and another thing that I want to say too, is that in the situation of your ex, and everyone, okay, and every person is a product of their environment.
Right.
And that's something you have to remember, right? I mean, like it's so hard to have this conversation without saying names. It's almost like maybe we should just bleep these, but like when a child is brought into this world, they're a completely blank canvas. Mm-hmm. You can morph them and mold them into whatever you want them to be and help them reach for the stars and all these things. And it's like you said in the last episode, hurt people. So people that have gone through a lot of emotional abuse, or like setting, some kids, man, they wake up every day and see like violence in their homes. They see their dad hitting their mom and shit. And there's two different kinds of people in the world. You get the people that see that and they never would replicate it. Like it hurt them so much that they could never let that happen. But then oftentimes you actually see people when they say like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, they see that hurt and then they put it on their partners. It sucks. Mm-hmm. That's why the whole like daddy issues thing is a thing. Mm-hmm. Like when you see young women that have issues with their father and like weird situations going on, they tend to like look for men like that because there's like comfort in replicating what you grew up with. So the last thing that I wanted to say is that I think it's really important in life that you always carry sympathy and empathy towards your contemporaries because everyone has a story. Everybody has something. Like when you see somebody that's like I said, if you like extreme violence, I have no forgiveness for that. But if you see people that are like emotionally hurting people, oftentimes they are hurt. They're a broken person and they're putting that on somebody else to make themselves feel better. Mm-hmm. And they may not know how to navigate around that. So anyway, I think everyone deserves many other chances until they finally see the light, if they're willing to admit they have issues.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I think that I learned from a pretty young age that you are a product of your environment and that what happened to you when you were a child or watching your parents will form who you become as an adult. And, I do remember my ex and him telling me stories about his father and situations. And I thought, they were unbelievable. Yeah. And I'm thinking, and you were witness to those things. So I can forgive a little bit. You know what I mean? Not that it's okay, but I can understand. And even we were just talking the other day about my dad. Why does Peter always come up? But my dad and his dad. And he said and this is like this to me, I'm like, wow. He said his father never told him he loved him ever in his life, ever once. And then on his deathbed, my dad, because he was taking care of him, he had dementia and Alzheimer's, and my dad looked at him and he was like, I love you, Dad. And he said, I have very strong feelings for you too, son. That's the most he could give. That's it. So then I look at my father and I think, well, I understand some of the depression and the mental, like I get it because this is where you came from. And I think that's so much of that. Like I was even actually talking to when I went and got my hair dyed the other day. I love him. His name is Josh. Little shout out to Josh. He'll never know I did this, but he works up at the Brilliant spa hair salon in the Halifax Shopping Center, and he is not only a delight but fantastic at what he does. And we were talking about gay pride. He's gay, and his partner, and they've been together for like 7-8 years or whatever. And we were just talking about racism and homophobes and stuff like that, and how, because I was explaining to him how Kaya, is very much humanitarian, like in all aspects, like love who you love, like gender, like that is just Kaya to a T. And I was saying, I'm like, I truly believe that this generation to come is going to make big changes, and like the waves are coming. And he agreed, but he also did say, he's like, but I will say, like, much of what she's hearing and learning is from you. Like, you're allowing her to be like, yeah, whatever, girl, like, whatever works for you, this is what we're doing, you know, versus had she been in a home where I'm like XYZ, that would be learned behavior, right?
Yep.
So yeah, it's so interesting. It really is, being a product of your environment and your childhood and all the things that you're surrounded by. And that's why it's so important to surround yourself by positive things and things that, you know, bring you joy and fulfillment and stuff like that.
It's so important. It's so important.
It is. Okay, so you want to talk
So
about
these are my favorite kind of episodes when we're
Okay.
just like shooting the shit. Like
Yeah.
like how far in are we? We're 16 minutes in and like
I
just
feel kind
jamming.
of guilty that I just spoke about that
Why?
situation.
What do you mean?
Well, because it's not me to like divulge gossip. And
Yeah, you were really going in.
And also, I talked to his fiance and I
Yeah.
like her, and we kind of like, the whole situation's ridiculous, but like I check in, I see how they're doing with their kids. And so I don't mean it in a malicious way to bring up the story and to like paint him out to be this like horrible person. I was just kind of trying to say like crazy things can happen and like we can forgive. You know what I mean? And give
Yeah.
other people chances.
Absolutely.
So I think I was trying to make it in
Do you
like,
feel weird now?
no, I don't.
Oh, you feel
no,
a
I
little
don't,
guilty.
No, guilty is not the right word, because like stuff happens and I get that. And I don't think I feel guilty about it. I just kind of feel like, oh, should I have said that?
Do you think you're scrapping this episode now?
No.
You're not scrapping
No,
it.
I'm not scrapping it, because I think I'm following up with a statement. And I think I said that, you know, I learned some stuff about him and from his past and why things were replicated. And I just hope and I think that things are going well now. And that's all I could ever ask for.
Yeah.
And I know he wishes well for me as
Absolutely.
well, you know?
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
mean, you've talked to the guy on the phone, for God's sake. Like, we're all buds here. Like, so
my homie.
So I didn't want to say it in that kind of sense. I just wanted to say that I think people can evolve and grow and change.
Absolutely.
And the company you keep is important. And I think that sometimes people can be really toxic for one another, even if they're both lovely people. Mm-hmm. Don't you think?
Yeah, well, some people bring the worst out in their partners.
For sure.
And those are the situations you need to avoid at all costs.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I feel like you make me a way better person. Mm-hmm. You do.
Yeah.
You actually
agree.
do. You make me amazing.
Yeah.
I am nothing without, I shouldn't say that. I'm something. But you really do complete me as a person.
Right.
You have given me, I don't know, you've just made me a better person. For sure, I can say that. Put it on my tombstone, man. Just Sheridan made this man. Like, we're a really good team, and I think that's important. But anyway, that's totally off topic.
Keep going.
Yeah. No, it's if I don't know, I shouldn't say everybody, but every person that I know, like in my circle of friends, if you knew every little thing that we did in our lives, if there was some things that you knew about us, you probably wouldn't like us. Like, if you were to pick out the shittiest things that I've ever done as a person, like, right back to like some stuff in like my early junior high days and stuff, just being a shit, man. It's like, oh my God, if that's how you defined the life of Matt, you would think I was a piece of shit. People change. Like with my first serious girlfriend, like I've told you this before, like with Christina, like I remember getting in a big fight with her one day, and then I went down to the mailboxes and like punched them until my hands were bleeding. It's like, if you were like on a podcast, you're like, yeah, and then Matt went down and punched the things till his hands were bleeding and his bones were broken. You'd be like, this guy's a psychopath. But like, actually, I'm a great guy and learned from all those stupid things and went through it all and had that immature love and everything. And it's probably much the same with you and Bleep. Like, it's, back in the day, you guys were learning and going through all these things. It's a part of life. Not everybody grew up in a fairy tale household where you're like, everyone's level headed and like everything's the shit and you're good. Like, some of us grew up in crazy households that like things that I wish as a child should never be exposed to. Mm-hmm. And my life wasn't even that crazy. Mm-hmm. I had like a pretty damn good childhood. But I was exposed to things that like, I saw my mom cry a lot of times and saw some shit and like heard some things that like I don't ever want our kids to be exposed to. But then at the same time, I'm like, I am who I am because of all that, and I love who I am, so I needed that maybe. But
no.
But I don't know.
But there's that mentality that people are like, you got to go through the tough stuff or like the shitty stuff.
No, but everyone's different though. some people, maybe they don't need to go through it.
But you just think you need to go through it because of where you ended up and you're a success story.
But back to that episode where I was talking about how you have to live life without regrets and just like everything happens for a reason kind of thing.
Sure.
I am the man I am because I saw the things that I would never want to do to somebody.
I understand.
So and Christina would have gotten the worst of it. She never any type
We love you, Christina.
No, but never any type of a physical abuse or anything like that. But I mean, I definitely was like the worst version of me to her.
Right.
Like she was there when my parents were splitting up and everything that was going on all in there. And like, yeah, she saw the worst of me. But then, then I brought a better version into my next relationship. And then you've got the best version of me yet. And I'm still not perfect.
Yeah.
If I had one more breakup, oh my God, the next person would literally get like top tier. But yeah, I mean, but I think it's cool to look at life that way. If I sat here and I was like, I'm perfect. The smartest people in the world know how much there is left to learn in life.
Absolutely.
There's a saying about that. The stupidest people in the world think they know everything.
Right.
Like I'm still a work in progress, and I will be until I take my last breath.
Lifelong learner. It's my favorite word. I used it all the time in teachers college, and that's what you say on your little blurb to get into school. I am a lifelong learner.
Cheers to that, baby.
That's
lifelong learners.
It's good because I agree. You should always be constantly learning and taking in information and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you had an article that you wanted to bring up. No? We're over it?
Okay. So at the end of the last episode, I was like, "Oh my God, I got this."
And now you're done. You're like,
no, I'm like, I got this banging article. So like, I'm a 3 a.m. wake upper every 3 a.m. Like honestly, if you're up at 2:30 to 3 a.m. and you're like really looking for a shoulder on the internet to talk to, like cry on, right? Like hit me up. I'm always awake. I'm literally always awake. So anyway, I jumped on Flipboard and stumbled into this article, and like I'll see these all the time, and I never click on them because I'm just like, it's always the same run of the mill bullshit.
Okay.
It was an article titled 10 phrases of affirmation your man desperately wants to hear.
So this is for the men out there listening.
So it's for the women. It's for the women.
No, but then the men that are listening are going to be like, honey, listen. So here we go.
I got your backs, boys.
Yeah.
So anyway, now I almost feel kind of stupid because because like in the moment I was like, yeah, all 10 of these, baby. And now I'm like, some of them are questionable, but there was definitely like a few of them that kind of hit home for me.
Okay, let's talk through them.
Okay, we're going to talk through these.
So what's the title again?
The title is 10 phrases of affirmation your man desperately wants to hear.
Okay.
Your man wants to hear that he matters, that he's a vital and important part of your heart and your life, that he means the world to you. So when you open your mouth to tell him something, make sure it's all these words of affirmation that your man really wants to hear. And this is on a website called Your Tango. I don't know.
Wait, what are the sentences?
I'm about to tell you.
Oh, okay.
So, and I guess we'll just go through each one.
Dick. No.
Show me your eggplant.
Nice shaft. What are they?
So, 10 phrases. You are some spicy over there this afternoon.
No, but like what?
Show me your shaft.
No, but like what are they?
Sheridan. So the first one is, I want you.
Love it.
Men often feel as if they have to be the sexual initiators in the relationship. Doing so can be draining and often feel as if they're asking for it rather than you wanting it. Women want to feel sexy and adored, and men are no different. Telling him, I want you, is a surefire way to make him happy.
Sorry, can I ask a question? Is it 10 of those, 10 like sentences?
Yeah.
So this is the first one.
Yes.
I want you.
Yeah.
That's a very important one.
I think it is. That one was super applicable to our relationship, in my opinion.
I agree.
Because I feel like I'm the one that initiates it 99% of the time.
What about the last couple months, though? I kind of feel like I've been on fire. Laugh all you want, but like I've hopped on you a couple times. I didn't come in the shower, not literally come, but like I went into the shower. Like I've done some things. You know?
No, absolutely.
No,
absolutely.
But notice it because I swear you never do.
I have been noticing it.
Okay, good.
I absolutely have.
Good.
I've been noticing. It's been fantastic. No, you've been making an effort, but it is this thing where when you're the only one that ever initiates it, it almost feels like a chore. It's like, can I get a little something? It's like, oh my God, like can we? Oh my God, when you get into yawn mode.
Sorry. I'm tired.
Anyway, anything to say on that, Sheridan?
I completely agree with that. I think that is very important to tell your partner that you want them. I think that it should be a two-way street. I feel like on your end, if you're continuously saying to me like, I want you, like da-da-da, and it's not feeling reciprocated, that can feel very disheartening and discouraging for you. And you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to ask anymore. And then it kind of starts and snowballs like that, right? So yeah. I think some people are really good at when they are thinking something to say it out loud, whereas some people it can be a little bit more difficult or it just doesn't come as naturally. But like there's been many moments as of recently that I'm like, oh my God, like I've really wanted your fans, you're like super attractive, and maybe I haven't said it out loud and I should. So I think that's a good reminder just to let your partner know that like you want them, whichever side it's on. I mean, this is just for men, but maybe it's applicable as well if it's the other way around. To just let them know that they're wanted. That's crucial.
No, but remember a while ago when I had made a conscious decision, I was like, I'm just straight up not going to make any effort sexually.
I remember.
And you can figure it out.
Yeah.
And then you felt unwanted. Like you felt like it was weird. Like, does this man still love me? Because you always get that affirmation because you know that I always want you. So you feel sexy, you feel wanted, you feel like this almost like animalistic, like.
But then what happened when you stopped?
Obsessed with you,
then
like,
what?
Huh?
What happened when you stopped?
Well, then all of a sudden you start coming on to me because you wanted to find it somewhere.
So what is it about that? Like that's something on a deeper level, because you're saying right now that like the animalistic of you saying you want me, but then the weirdest and strangest thing was that as soon as you stopped paying attention to me, I was like, wait, come back.
No, well, that's the hard to get thing.
Right. But why
right
are
at
we
the very
so
start of our
obsessed with
relationship
that?
when I wasn't really like.
Oh, you didn't play hard.
It was all a game.
No, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, but what is it with people and playing hard to get, and why you yearn for that and like want it? Because it is a strange thing that, like you just said, when you pretended to not care anymore and made us like an actual choice to do that, is when you noticed that I started being like, man.
Yeah.
And it's so weird because even in my mind, I'm like, why do I want him now that he doesn't want me? And that's just a question that I'm asking actually to everyone, I guess, because it's a good conversation starter, I think.
It is.
Like, why are we like that? And it's like that all the time.
Well, the thing, I already know. Most of the men listening to this, men in general, men are horny. And we know this.
Generalizing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's what we do in life. You generalize things.
Yeah.
So like the partner on the other receiving end of it always gets to feel wanted. They always do. My man would do anything for me sexually. Like generalizing. Yeah. Generalizing, absolutely. But like imagine being on the other side of that where you're like, you never feel wanted. Like, just actually imagine that. Like, I don't even need to elaborate. Just like all you women listening right now, imagine your man on the other side of the bed that has been rejected for the 28th time this month. What that man feels like. And just think about it, because it's more than just the feeling of the intercourse. Amazing feeling. The end of it's incredible. The whole process, all of it. But like, it's the feeling of being wanted. Think about that.
Okay.
Number 2, I appreciate your hard work and effort. Sometimes men will make an attempt to please us by fixing things or doing various chores and tasks to make us happy. Sure, we maybe wanted something more romantic or for them to notice our haircut, but this is so lame. But in truth, sometimes I find like the
But read it. Maybe it won't be from my end.
But in truth, their effort is there, even if it's delivered slightly different than we had hoped. Saying that we appreciate his effort and work is a statement that will go so far with men.
Again, another one of those things where it can go from both ends, right? Like, and I think probably a lot of them are going to be similar, where it's like, yeah, I can relate to that on each side.
I'm talking about men today.
Yeah, sorry, man.
No, you're absolutely.
But it's talking about feeling appreciated for their hard work. Is that what it said? Yeah, and another thing, because I think, we had this conversation many episodes ago, and I remember you talking about the differences of like what you do around the house versus what I do around the house, and that it might not be obvious for each person.
No, what you do is more obvious.
Oh, was that what it was?
Well, I would say, totally generalizing, that's how we're going to navigate this. I didn't write the article, I'm just reading it. But the things that you do are very noticeable.
Right.
I don't do my own laundry. Every day I wake up, I have clean undies, socks, my clothes are good, they're folded up. Like, I really appreciate that. Like, without you doing that, it would suck. The bed's always made. The kids' lunches are always made. The shoes are always by the door. How did they get there? Magically, they just floated there. You did it. Like, you do all these things that noticeably make my life easier. You didn't see the hour I spent on the phone with the tax man yesterday. You didn't see the hour I spent on Friday with the tax man trying to do financial planning and figuring all this out. Like, you weren't there when I spent 5,000 hours getting trust funds set up. All this other stuff that happens in the back end that, and again, generalizing, but like the things that I do, they're not very noticeable things. They're like, it's different. It's just different. And it just happens to just be the way it is. I'm sure I'm going to get all these people like, well, you should do that. Yeah, I know. Okay, I get it. But the way it is, typically, I feel like the stuff that a man does goes really under the radar and that we go underappreciate. Now, I'm saying it, and that's what it is. I'm reading the article.
I will say that I think if are we just talking about men? Because I think for women as well, they
both sides
certainly feel the same way. And I think that that's just a mutual thing that partners need to be more like understanding and appreciative of the things that they do, because you're right. I was just on the phone with the walk-in clinic trying to get a hold of them today, all busy, all booked up. I was just calling the vet for Tantalin today to get Lloyd his tick medication. Like, it's just
not
happening.
paying attention,
It's just happening all around, right?
Yeah.
Kaya's not in camp right now. Why? Because I didn't put her in one. That lies on me. Like, that falls on me.
Yeah.
So I think if both partners are giving properly to the relationship and feeling like they're delivering, that, you know, the other person should just at least, like, every once in a while, just like, you know, say how thankful they are and appreciative that they've done that.
Yeah.
So thank you for
we should
talking
both
to the
be
taxi
doing.
man.
We should both. You and I are pretty good about it anyway. But like, you know, I think it's important in a relationship to just be cognizant of all of the efforts that your partner's doing that go under the radar.
Right.
And I think when you start underappreciating what your partner's, like the weight they're carrying, I think that's the beginning of the end of a relationship. You need to always value their time and what they're doing. And hopefully you don't have someone that's like feed up potato chips every day, like just not pulling their weight. But like, yeah. God, your Call of Duty ranking is incredible. I'm proud of you. I always love a good I'm proud of you. men are, this one is good. I like the way she worded this. Men are often taught to measure their worth by work and accomplishments. I think that hits home. Personally, I find this to be better than what women are often judged by, how nice they are, how pretty they are, or how many friends they have. But I digress. Telling your man how proud you are of him for whom he is and what he does makes him feel like you told him in a positive and hold him. Sorry, can I even read? Why am I like jittery while reading online here? Hold him in a positive and an endearing light.
I think that's a great one.
I do too.
Because I think she really said that. Like, I was like, oh yeah, wow, that's true. Like, people, like men, and again, like, how many times are we going to say this? But this whole episode is going to be generalizing and stereotyping. But I feel like men can be based on what they do for work, you know, versus just the type of person that they are.
Yeah.
And that's what she's saying. Like, say, like, I'm proud of you for just being an awesome person. It doesn't have to be because you've done this, and this. Like, just like, great job at being you.
Yeah.
And men need to hear that. And I think a lot of this is just kind of making me think that men are more vulnerable and sensitive than whether they choose that they want to appear to be. I don't know if that's just been the way that society has portrayed them for so long, that they're big boys don't cry, you know, whatever they say.
I'm just going to clap for you the whole
It's
episode.
True, though.
Absolutely
and
it
so
is.
I think for her saying that, it's like, yeah, you know what? Like, you're also just a human being.
Yeah.
And like, you have feelings and want to feel like, you know, you're loved and wanted and stuff. And like, right. But I feel like many men have been taught to not
suck it
show
up.
those things. And I think that the more that, you know, they hear it from their partner, the better they'll be. Right? Because like, why are you just saying this to your wife? Why is your wife not saying this to their husband? Like, they deserve to hear it just as much.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
It probably is something that goes all
I
the way.
am proud of you.
It's, you know,
All jokes aside, though, I am. You're a great person.
I love you, Sheridan.
I love you too.
It probably is something that goes all the way back to like caveman machoism. Like the women would be back like washing the clothes and looking after the babies while the men are fighting like tigers and
Right.
bringing food home kind of thing. So like men are kind of held in this regard where we're just emotionless pieces of meat that just go out and get the job done kind of thing, when actually like we're all vulnerable people, and we're, you know, especially in today's society, like, you know, the playing field is a lot more even now, and I feel like in a lot of regard men are kind of like being left behind in certain aspects of life. And I think it's important to understand that we have hearts too and feelings too, and when people feel proud of us for our accomplishments and accolades, not just work related but just like even in the family dynamic, it's important. So it's a good one.
I think I was also going to say that you're right. Like, obviously, back in those many, many, many years ago, those were, you know, the roles that men and women would take. But I do like to believe that in today's society, we're making big changes. And I think that even now, us being able to talk about men being vulnerable and having feelings and stuff is huge. Because that wasn't like that even, you know, when our parents were kids. Like, there wouldn't be people talking about this on a radio station.
It's like you said a minute ago, your dad wasn't even told he was loved.
Exactly.
Ever.
So I just, like, as much as, like, we can talk about the world and how crazy it's getting and how scary it's getting, we can also talk about the positive things that are happening, like that, for example, you know? Anyway, next thing.
Some of these trail off for me now. Like, those were like the three big ones for me.
And episode's done.
Yeah, and catching this one. When you're ready to talk, I'm here. Men don't always want to talk. See, I always want to talk, so this doesn't really apply to me.
No, but it resonates with men.
Okay, so men don't always want to talk, especially when you want them to. Telling them that you're here for them when he's ready to talk lets him feel respected, loved, and understood. Those 7 words go a long way.
Yeah, so I think you're a bit of an anomaly in terms of like talking. It's really not that common unless we're just not surrounding ourselves by the people that chatter like you. But I do think there's many men that have few words to say. Mm-hmm. So I imagine that
Do you
hearing
think?
those,
Is that the way it is?
Yes. I know it's there's also
Who
people
are
that
these men? Because all the men I know are bomb and like never stop talking.
You hear how you said they're bomb? That doesn't mean they're not if they don't talk.
No, but like I think about even the people that were all here in the last week. Like every one of them never shuts up.
Sure, but just because you don't talk or you're not a chatty person doesn't mean that you're not great. Like you can still be amazing and have these different thoughts in your head, or like not.
Yeah,
express
you're right.
Your feelings.
Yeah, that's not what I meant by that.
Yeah, okay.
I just meant they're all like chatty people.
Yeah, they're all outgoing
assume,
and willing to talk, right?
But I don't know. Maybe it's talking about like deeper level of talking.
Yeah, but you
not
have
just
to
like,
remember too, Matt. Like you have to remember too that as we're gonna go back and say this, like people, like so much is learned behavior. So maybe their dad didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Maybe their parents didn't talk to one another, and like they just, you know, fought and didn't say anything to each other, and then pretended it didn't happen. Like maybe they didn't see communication happening, right? So that's what they're taught, and that's what they assume is right. So yeah, that is really important for people that don't talk like we do.
Well, for me, the thing, you know, for any men that are potentially listening to this that aren't talkers, the thing that I always remind myself, and I think about it all the time, is that like tomorrow's not promised. Mm-hmm. Like any one of us at any given moment could go to bed tonight and not get up the next day. Like that happens to a lot of people. The second leading cause of death is heart failure. It actually, is it below cancer or is it above cancer? I can't remember. It's either number 1 or number 2 is heart failure. And it happens when you're sleeping. You lay down at night, you don't get back up. Like not having those conversations that, you know, before you go, like I'm not a fan of sleeping on shit. I'm just not. Because what if? Look at that woman that was driving down to Bridgewater and my mom saved her life on the side of the highway. Imagine if the last thing that happened with her was like a fight with her husband or whatever, and she never apologized, and it was just this big pile of shit, and she died on the side of that highway. Or even better yet, imagine that whole same scenario, but my mom saved her life on the side of the highway. Imagine how she would never let something like that slide again if she was given that second opportunity to make up that situation. So like, I don't know, just like, yes, how's this worded? When you're ready to talk, I'm here. Men, don't let it sit too long because you just never know. You just never know.
I will say though that I think that sometimes if you don't let something marinate enough, you could say things that you don't mean.
Yep.
100%. And you could come in hot and fiery, and that absolutely happens. So for me, I'm the type of person, and I think we learned this pretty early on in our relationship because, you know, in my opinion, nothing's going to get solved. It's like Theodore when he does something that's like not working and we're upset with him and you try, or if he's having like an emotional outburst and he's crying and I'm trying to talk to him. He's not listening to what I'm saying. He's just focusing on the fact that he's having a hard time. It's later. It's 20 minutes later when I'm like, hey, like what happened?
Yeah.
And we talk through it. So for sure, like don't ever talk to your partner when it's, like
you end up saying things you regret.
Absolutely. And I think
perfect case study.
Yes.
I need an hour for sure. But just don't let it slide for too long.
Right.
You just never know.
Yep.
Go see your friends. Like I said, a lot of these I don't really apply to me, but like go see your friends. Jealousy rears its ugly head in many relationships, and I have heard from many men about how their female partners tend to get angry or jealous when they want to see their friends. Telling your man to go see his friends without clenched teeth or constant texts shows him the affirmation he needs. You trust him, value his free time and identity as a person.
Well, we're lucky for that.
Yes.
We're lucky that we don't mind, and it's never really like I actually came across one of my old stories. Sometimes it like shows you on Instagram, and you were going somewhere with the boys, and I was driving away, or no, you were. It doesn't matter, but I think I said something like, "Don't count. It's not a competition. Like you go, I go. You go, I go. Like don't like put them in the bank for later. Although like sometimes we joke about doing.
I joke about it all the time.
But don't actually do that because then you're just going to be resentful versus just letting your partner go and be a better version, and then they'll come back a better version of themselves, right? So I think if people have a problem with them going to see their friends, then that's a bigger red flag than you think.
Well, I think good parenting and good relationships in general, it's like a trickle down effect. It's important that you as an individual are happy and content in your present life. And then you'll bring a better version to your partner, a better version to your kids, a better version to your friends, everything. You need to be happy first. Like you can't base your happiness on me.
No, it's the most important part.
It is.
Is finding your own self-happiness and self-worth and self-love. It is the most important part. You can put all of your everything into your children and into your marriage, but it's not going to matter if you don't love yourself first.
Yeah.
That's just a fact.
And if you want your man to come home quicker that night, you could always just leave him with a little sexy something anyway. I'm telling you.
Just a picture of my toes. Yeah.
No, but you could say something like, go out and have fun with your friends tonight. Love you very much. And
see you later.
When you get home tonight, baby, there's a little something waiting for you. The guy will be gone about 90 minutes.
Just circles around the block.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, hon.
Yeah, probably won't even leave.
Yeah.
I value your opinion. Telling your best guy that you value his opinion and want his feedback makes him feel useful, helpful, and loved. You will make his day when you tell him this. Yeah,
no, that's true.
I know just so many. Like when I was reading these in the night, I was like,
were you mad at me or something?
I don't know.
Jeez.
I don't even know. Like I don't even care about these.
No, but you do just as well as if you're working on something and you're like, hey, come see what I've done. Look at this deck that I made before it goes off. I'm sure it makes you feel nice when I look at it and I'm like, great job. Right?
I think maybe what it is as I'm reading these 10, like some of them are like real heaters and then others are just kind of like you had to fill 10 out. It's like, yeah, of course you value my opinion on things.
But maybe not everybody does in a relationship. Maybe they don't even ask their opinion on anything.
Yeah, when you read these things, it's like, God, we have a great relationship, Sheridan. There's one person out there that doesn't think so, but I mean, geez, I don't know. It's, I mean, you always value my opinion and vice versa. So,
although sometimes your opinion drives me crazy.
Really? Does it?
Yes, with work stuff. Absolutely.
Really?
Sometimes.
Sheridan.
Yeah.
Sheridan.
Sometimes your concepts are the best. Like the Sour Patch Kids one, like that was a fire video. Everyone knew it. And I'm like, obviously that was all Matt's idea. But there's other times where I'm like, oh my God, leave me alone. Let me come up with a concept myself.
Yeah.
Oh, hun.
Really?
No,
it's so funny how I like being a part of your job.
I value your opinion.
No, for sure. No. I'm so annoying sometimes.
Well, we're just you're much more involved in my work than I am in yours.
Oh, for sure.
Like you literally text me like, didn't you have a reel due today? And it's like, are you my mother? Like, I'll come home and do it. You know what I mean? Imagine if I was texting
Number 7.
Texting like, did you get your brand kit set over yet, Matt? Like, imagine.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe you should hold me more accountable sometimes. I don't know. Number 7, you are so sexy.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, women aren't the only bird.
Birds?
Women. Turns out a man wrote this. The whole time I've been saying she.
Yeah.
Women aren't the only birds whose feathers like to be fluffed. Tell him directly how sexy you think he is. Then, if you want to make him feel really good, tell him some dirty things you'd like to do to him.
Matt's like, I loved this part.
Number 7.
Yeah. Isn't 7 your favorite number?
It sure is. I wanted to name Kaya 7, actually, if you remember.
Oh, I'll never forget. Well, yeah, I mean, do we even need to divulge into that?
Probably not. It probably ties right into the wanting
That's
to feel.
pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. Okay, well, keep going.
Okay.
Because I've got to go pick the kids up soon. Number 8, you're a good man. Let's be real, ladies. There's a lot of dialogue about good men versus bad men, and men know this. They know what women believe to be a good man versus a bad man. Telling him he's a good man reminds him that he's one of the good guys.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. Because I think, there's a lot of shitty guys out there. There is. There really is, and I'm well aware of this. Like, there's definitely some like I know of some pretty crappy people out there, and I would probably say I know a lot less crappy women. So yeah, I think like being reminded that I'm on the good team. I don't know, but this is kind of weird. This whole conversation is weird because I feel good about where I'm sitting right now. I'm not too worried about this stuff, but I have to remember that we're like generalizing for the people listening. And it's like,
right.
I think it is important to remind your man that like he's a good guy.
Yeah,
if he is a good guy.
Yeah.
And he sucks, and tell him that. What are we at now? Number 9?
They're pretty much the same.
What's number 9?
I understand, or I'm trying to understand. We won't always intuitively understand how our partners feel, but when we do tell our loves that we understand, it makes them feel great. If you don't understand your man, tell him you are trying. The effort makes it.
That's a good one. That's a good one, and here's why. Sometimes, like how we were saying a minute ago, like when things kind of get like convoluted in the heat of a conversation or something like that, and sometimes men aren't really great at articulating their thoughts.
Okay.
It is important to really like try and understand that it's coming from their heart. Like if they're taking the time to have a breakdown with you of some sort and like unveil their feelings to you, it's coming from a warm place inside of them that if you're not getting it, you should really try to, because they're trying to communicate something with you.
As in, it's taking a lot of effort for them to actually verbalize it and take the time. So it's like, please try to understand.
This can go for both genders. It's kind of weird to kind of just put this on a man, but like if your partner is coming to you and trying to tell you something, it's important that you make the effort on the other end to try and understand where it's coming from. And I think like this has happened to you and I a couple times too, where like you and I might be in an argument or some dialogue around something, and like I may not understand why it's bothering you, but if it's bothering you, then it's a valid point, and I should really try to put myself in your shoes and get it, and vice versa. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's happened a few times, actually, like recently. I feel like you and I talked about this, where like you were really making an effort, like, look, this isn't something that would bother me, but I'm going to make the effort to try to understand why it bothers you.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if it's bothering your partner, you should definitely try and understand where they're coming from.
Yes.
There's a reason for it. I was just trying to find, I know there's one left, but I was trying to find our little notes from the podcast topics. I feel like there's some funny things on there.
From the podcast topics?
Yeah.
What do you mean, like my
like your
notes?
list, yeah.
Oh, I have a whole bunch of them.
Well, where are they?
One of them that I thought was really, really interesting. Like,
are we not finishing the last one? That was number 9.
Okay, so I
respect
respect your need for X. If you truly respect your guy's need for a certain hobby or habit, telling him that you respect his individual quirks make him feel as if you allow him to be his own person. Let me tell you, that is love at its best.
Yeah, so we love a good
100%.
hobby. Yeah, we love a good hobby. We love a good you go do you, whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
I do think that you cannot do it to excess and take advantage of that. Like, I mean, the people that golf 7 days a week and, like things like that, for example. I think there's like a happy medium to everything. And I also think that if this is about men, I think that women should also take the time to go and do their own thing as well, which we've talked about, again, so many times.
You know what's interesting though?
What?
Sometimes when you read something, you hear it a certain way, and then when someone else says it, it really gets you thinking.
Sure.
Like when you're like with someone that golfs 7 days a week, if you got a man that's golfing 7 days a week, what sucks so bad at your house that he's gonna spend 7 days?
It's a lot of time on the golf course. But here's the thing.
What?
Some people just really love something, especially, I don't know why I'm honing in on the game of golf, but like people are obsessed with golfing. They're obsessed. It's a whole lifestyle. And I get it. I've been on the golf course. I know how fun it can be. You're going around, you're doing 18 holes, you're having a couple of drinks, you're on the golf cart, you're going to have dinner at the lodge or whatever. Like, it's fun. It's a fun lifestyle. And I could see why people would want to do it 7 days a week. But the reality is you shouldn't if you're in a loving relationship, and you shouldn't want to as well if you're in a loving relationship,
No.
right? Like, maybe
Like,
we're
I
finding
really
a
like
happy
spending
medium.
time with you.
Yeah.
And like, it's almost like weird how much time I could spend with you. Like, every time I'm four-wheeling or in my side-by-side or like any of those activities that are like my things, I wish you were there. I wish you would jump on the back of the
men
Renegade.
don't need to feel guilty if they don't want their
No,
partner
for
there.
sure.
You're just saying that you
No, for sure. But
like me so much.
yeah, well, I think at the end of the day, it's important that, like, okay, sure, if we have our own like separate activities, which I think are really important too. Like, you need to have you time. It's
Absolutely.
super important. Like for me, like, I really cherish like that, like, couple hours I get a week in my truck when it's just me listening to Lil Baby and driving along. Like, I love that. Crank my subs up and it's just me, and I'm just alone for a minute, just like in my own thoughts.
Isn't it nice to just be you every once in a while?
I love driving. Yeah. God, I love driving. I love just putting my tunes on and going. But yeah, I sometimes I just wonder, like, because I see it sometimes. Like, my uncle plays like golf like 7 days a week. I'm like, they've been together like 1,000 years. It's
Right.
like, yeah, there probably ain't too much left on this anyway. But it's like,
No, but there is.
yeah,
I
I know.
Yeah.
But like, who knows? Like, when you and I are 1,000 years old, am I?
Fast forward to Matt, 8 days a week he's golfing. Yeah.
Whack. Anyway, so I had a note written down. My notes are so funny because they're like these like little brain fart things that I like have in the middle of the night and shit, and I write them down. Some people
Oh my God.
some people are beautiful and some people are hot.
Yeah,
and
so
I wrote it down HAWT to like really be impactful.
We talked about that. That wasn't even a night thing. That was when we were sitting at our
was
dinner at Daria. And I was asking you because we were talking about somebody, and then I was like, well, what's she look like? And then you're like, oh, she's beautiful or something. And then we were talking about, and now you have to remember, and I was saying this to Kaya today when we went for a little walk with Lloyd. She was talking about, like, she's obsessed with Harry Potter right now, right? So she's like, I wish I looked like Hermione. And I'm like, why? She's like, well, she's more beautiful than me.
Which
and
one's
then,
Hermione?
Well, she's the only girl in it, like the main
Oh, she's
girl.
like Harry's little like boo thing there.
Well,
Yeah.
she's not actually.
Oh no, she's with the redhead guy.
Yeah. Anywho,
Kaya almost looks like her anyway.
I digress. I was talking to Kaya and I said, Kaya, and I'm trying to explain to her, I'm like, beauty is really in the eye of the beholder. I'm like, some people like, and will find something attractive that somebody else doesn't. And that's what makes life so cool. So in saying what we're saying about being beautiful or being hot, it's very subjective to our own like the eyes of our beholder, but there is definitely like, why were we talking about this? Why are you bringing this
You
up?
told me to write it down.
I didn't. We were literally talking about it. I'm writing this down. I'm writing this down.
You were like, write it down.
No,
We'll talk
I
about it on the podcast. So this was one of the you write it down
you know
ones.
why?
Yeah.
Because I said, Matt, do you think I'm beautiful or hot? And that was
yeah. Yes.
And you're like, I'll answer it on the podcast.
That is what it was.
So here we go.
No.
What's it gonna be? Yeah.
Hold up. Put the brakes on. So that is a thing though. Like some people, you look at them and you're just like, wow, like just beautiful,
stunning.
And then some people, you look at them and you're like,
wow,
just freaking
damn,
hot. There's just something like just hot,
sexy. Yeah.
So who's someone that's like you're like validating this over there? So who's someone that's like hot?
Are we just like going celebrity status?
Yeah, whatever.
We could always do what we were just doing at the cottage when we were at the cottage a couple weeks ago, and we compared Jennifer Aniston to Angelina Jolie. This is just like a classic. Everyone knows who they are. Jennifer Aniston's very much like the girl next door, like cutesy, beautiful. Angelina Jolie's like straight sex appeal, in my opinion. So it's those are two very different vibes. This is just who I'm using as an example because
you took a cop out.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. But I hear what you're saying. Somebody like Natalie Portman. Do you know who I mean?
Yes.
Her facial features, like she's beautiful. Like she's stunning.
Yeah, she's got like the doll skin almost. Like the, what do you call it? Like the
porcelain skin.
The porcelain skin.
Yeah, like she's beautiful. If I were to think of like, who would I say?
Rihanna.
Megan Fox.
Rihanna's just hot.
Yeah, well,
it's just oozes sex.
Right. Matt's like, I was waiting to say this on.
That wasn't even in the chamber. I just thought of that right now.
Yeah, but I agree. There's definitely, I don't know if it's also the way people portray themselves. Like Rihanna definitely portrays sex sex appeal. It's her thing. Like
Yeah.
she rocks being sexy and confident and whatever, versus somebody like Natalie Portman that might do like modeling, and it's like very different, like abstract. Do you know what I mean? So it's also like the way I think people choose to portray themselves.
Yes.
Wouldn't you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to put it. They curate a certain thing, and you always almost like default to a celebrity because it is so curated. There's
Right.
like a look, like there's
Yeah.
like a whole look to how
For
they
sure.
put things
Well,
together.
they have to decide how they're going to present themselves to the world.
Megan
right?
Fox is an interesting one that you'd bring her up though, because she is hot.
Well, all she does is
She's
talk.
just the way she like that she looks and everything. Like there's
Well, her whole brand is
Yeah.
just, and it's funny. Well, it's not funny. I don't know why I always say that, but it's interesting. I need to start working on saying that, because she's been talking about like recently her body and like how people have viewed it and so on and so forth, and that she didn't like it. And it's like, it's too bad, because then people are commenting being like, well, all you did was get half naked for Transformers and stuff, right? But you have to keep this in mind that, why are you laughing? Let me get to my point.
I'm just laughing because I like watching you talk.
When you're a celebrity and you decide you're getting, I imagine, and you're getting into this like celebrity world, they decide what they're going to do for you, right? What is going to make you stand out? What's going to make you special?
Yeah.
So she came into that world as a hottie. That was her role, was to be the hot girl in movies. And it's like, maybe she didn't want to be that. And it's like,
Yeah.
you don't know what happens. I don't know why we're talking about celebrities so much these last two episodes, but you don't know what goes on in that boardroom. Like, haven't you watched those movies where like these big singers come in and they're getting a record deal and they're so excited, and then they like totally mess up the hit song and they end up being like pop stars, and they're like, this isn't what I'm about. And they're like, but this is going to sell.
Yeah.
So this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like half naked doing a music video and they're like, what? Right?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Industry plants.
Yeah. Anything else? So I'm a hottie. Got it.
So yeah, it's funny because I'm trying to put you in a bucket right now, and I think, you know what I think it is?
I can't wait.
No, I think Sharon, what bucket do you want to be in?
You know those like things in school where it's like you have a half-C circle and you're in the middle? I want to be. Yeah. Put me in the middle.
I think
Beautiful
you kind
hot,
of are.
Throw me in there.
Well, see, I know so much about you that
No, and that's
like
such a
watching
good
you
point.
have a poop the other day.
You chose to come in, Matthew. You chose
Yeah, come
that
in,
life.
just smell a turd.
Oh my God! Don't bring. That's not my fault. That's your fault.
Yeah, I can't walk it. Oh yeah, you chose that.
You chose that life. Yeah, you chose that.
Yeah, as if.
But you're totally right, because if you just saw me randomly, like let's say, obviously my Instagram is nothing. It's not exuding sexiness. It's just exuding confidence. But if I decided that my Instagram was just going to be me being a total hottie and wearing like, you know what I mean? You'd
Yeah.
be like, wow, that girl's a total hottie.
So I'm trying to think if I was like walking down the road and saw you. But like, when am I seeing you? like when?
Somebody actually sent me a reel the other day of like Adam Sandler outfits, and they're like, "You do that?" I'm like, "I do."
Yeah.
I just have never.
When am I seeing you?
Well-
Am I seeing you like? Okay, so we went on the Wave Runner the other day, and you
Yeah.
were wearing that little
Yes.
little bathing suit and everything, nice low cut on it and everything. HAWT, baby, for sure.
I agree. There's definitely.
I think
different levels.
you are an interesting one because you kind of like toggle two different things.
What about when you first met me and you saw my pictures?
This is gonna make me sound like an
No, it's
asshole
not.
now. Yeah, it is.
No, because I'm gonna get to a point.
No, because I think.
But I'm gonna get to a point.
Okay.
So what did you think then?
I think you would probably fall in the really hot bracket.
Yeah. So then this is so
Then
interesting.
you became
No,
mommified and
that's
everything.
not what I was going to say.
Okay.
I was going to say then you got to know me.
Yeah.
And then you got to know the person behind the body. And then you got to love me. And then you got to see me and my heart.
No,
and my
you
feelings.
changed. You changed. You changed your curated image.
Yeah,
You
that's true.
always used to be like big lipstick and boobies on an angle and everything. And like you don't do that anymore.
You're
It's
right.
not your brand anymore. So
You're
your
right.
brand has shifted more into the like, a cutie mommy, approachable. Like, you know, like back in the day, you were like, you ooze sex. That was your whole thing. Like the high heels on the stairs and everything. That was your thing.
You're right.
You
But
curated it.
I do
what
think.
am I?
But get over yourself. But what I think too is that I'm happy to have a happy medium now.
Yeah.
So like there's moments where I look like a slob, like
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and I don't care, and I come online and whatever. And then there's other moments, like let's just use when I was in Florida, for example, and I was wearing that cute like green shirt.
Oh, when I wasn't with
Yeah,
you.
the one
yeah,
moment
okay,
that you were
yeah,
with me.
okay, yeah.
And I felt like a quote
Oh my
unquote
God.
hot then. You know what I
You
mean?
left me and you got hot?
No,
Really?
no,
Did you?
No,
Did you?
no. Anyway, I think you're a total hottie.
Am I? Am I?
That's like, tell me more.
Reinforce.
Hype me up. Yeah.
Give me those
Tell me
10
you
things.
appreciate me. That
Do
you're
you
proud.
understand me?
No, we're joking about that, but actually those are really good things to say to your
Yeah.
partner. So is there anything else you want to talk about? We have
Okay,
a couple
well,
minutes.
I've got to leave very, very soon.
One last funny. Don't mess it up. You always pick a bad bullet point to end it on.
Okay, hold on. What's one thing you'd never let me do? I don't even know why I wrote that down. That's like a month ago I wrote that down. I don't remember what made me do it. What's one thing you wouldn't let me do?
Well, I mean, there's
Oh my
a
God,
lot
you're
of things.
shaking over there.
No, but I'm like, there's a lot of things. Like, I would never let you move away from your family and go like get a job somewhere else. Never.
That's the end of the episode.
No, but
It's not even interesting at all.
well, what am I supposed to say? I'd never let you cheat on me. Like, I'd never let you go get like a lap dance from a stripper. Or
Is
something.
this where your mind went?
Yeah, where did yours go?
Oh, it's obviously sexual.
Right. What would you never let me do?
I don't think there's much. I think if you really wanted to do something, I'd probably just be game for it.
Oh, I thought you meant with other people and me. You mean
What?
you didn't phrase that well enough. I thought this meant like never let me do in life.
What did I say? Where is it? What's one thing you'd never let me do to you?
You didn't say.
Okay, we're going to rewind this and go look.
You didn't.
What's one thing you'd never let me do to you?
Okay, maybe you did say that, but I was not thinking in the bedroom. I was just thinking in life. I'm like, lots of things you can't do to me. What? Don't stab me? Like, I don't know. Like don't let me jump out of like a airplane that's moving? Like, I don't know. But well,
It doesn't even matter.
Okay, fine.
Now you're jaded and you're gonna be thrown off.
All right. Go.
So here's one that I thought was kind of interesting. So there's this new Harvard study that came out.
Okay.
There's a new Harvard study that came
Yep.
out. So they were.
I'm listening.
Listen to this, okay? This is really cool. Put your phone down.
Yeah,
This is really cool.
I just need to make
So they
sure.
were taking these big glasses of water. It's actually kind of brutal.
Okay.
It's kind of brutal what you're about to hear, but it is what it is. So they were taking these kind of like big glass cylinders and filling them with water and dropping a rat in them. Or was it a mouse? Was it a mouse or a rat? Let me get this right. Rats. So they were dropping a rat in the glass of water. And at the 15-minute mark, almost every one of the rats would get ready to drown. They would start going under and lose their breath and die. That's what was happening, okay? Dropping a rat in a glass of water at the 15-minute mark. They can't wade the water. How do you word that?
Tread water.
Tread water, that's it. They couldn't tread water anymore and they would die at the 15-minute mark. So right as they started going under, like when it was obvious like it was the end of the road for them, the scientists would grab the rats and haul them out and give them a few minutes to recover and get their breath back. Okay?
Okay.
They'd take that same rat, drop it back in the water, and the rats were making it the second time upwards of 60 hours in the water.
What?
Think about that. This is true. This is a Harvard study that just came out. They're just doing this right now. Rat first time, 15 minutes is ready to die, can't tread water anymore. And then as soon as the rat comes out and recovers and realizes there's a chance of survival, it can tread water for almost 3 days. Anyway, so like that just goes to show you the power of the mind, like the Conor McGregor thing. Like when you really believe in something. But I'm reinforcing why I liked Conor. Okay, I'm just reinforcing this one more time. But like that's the power of the mind. Like when you believe in yourself and believe that there's something out there for you, you can do things that you would never dream possible. Like you. If you truly believe in your vision and your dream, you can do things that are almost unbelievable. And this is being proven with these rats. When they didn't think there was a hope, they had 15 minutes of life. When they believed that there was something out there, 60 hours of fucking treading water.
That is very inspirational.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Believe in your dreams, kids. Believe in your dreams.
Love it. Like, subscribe. Bye.
Okay, like, subscribe. Love you guys. And we'll be back in later. Peace.
It's the Two Gems Podcast.